So in this supportive position, whatever supportive position you've chosen, can you get a sense of your energy right now? What is your physical energy? What is your mood, your emotional energy this morning? Your mental energy? Not to change anything at all, just to witness, welcome. So if we can turn away from, as we turn inward in this position, if we can turn away from our likes and our dislikes, and just allow whatever is here to be here. Especially if you are in crocodile or child's pose, can you feel the breath filling your low back? Really expanding the whole cylinder of your core, the back body, the sides of the body. So the breath is kind and intelligent. It's guided by prana, by energy. If you need to continue in a different position, you can do that. Just change it up as you need. And see if you can allow the inhale to soothe you and allow the exhale to soften any grip you have. So we tend to grip around things we don't want to change. So we have the grip of attachment. And we also grip and grasp around things we push away, the grip of aversion. So can you work with the breath? Inhale, soothing, and exhale, softening that grip. And take about 3 more rounds of breath. Even inhale and exhale in length, quality, and volume. And then come to your back. Make your way to your back now and take your feet in a position of comfort. So bend your knees, take the soles of your feet to the floor. And take your feet as wide as the edge of your mat. Bring your arms out to the goalpost position. And just let your knees move softly back and forth, side to side. And go at a pace that feels right for you. And can you soften your gaze so that in your peripheral vision, you might just be able to see both arms. Coming back to center with your knees pointing up towards the ceiling, interlace your hands behind your head. And then dropping your knees to the left, slide your right elbow down towards your right foot. So you're contracting on the right side body and opening the left side body. And then inhale, slide back to center, drop your knees to the right, slide your left elbow down towards your left hip, contracting the left side and opening the right side. Inhale, come back to center and take 2 more on each side. So dropping your knees to one side, opposite elbow slides towards that hip. Inhale back to center, exhaling, dropping the knees to the opposite side and sliding the elbow towards the hip. So feel for contraction in one side body as you open and lengthen the opposite side body. And 1 more on each side if you've not done your 2 there. Judges are watching. And come back to center. And now stretch your legs long on the mat. And here you might just pay attention to if your feet are hanging over the edge. So you want your feet to be on the mat, your heels to be on the mat. And then just with your hands behind your head still, just let your feet fall to the left and fall over to the right. So as your feet go back and forth, like the same windshield wiper action, one leg will be internally rotating and the other will be externally rotating. So just let your whole leg turn with the foot. Internal rotation on one leg, external rotation on the other. And then the next time your feet fall to the left, keep your feet touching the floor as you slide your knees up towards your waist. And then extend your legs back out. Back to center, let your feet fall to the right, slide your knees up to the right side, towards the right side body. So if you need to take a peek up at me, you can sit up and just see what I'm doing. Feet go to one side, those same side, the knees come up towards your chest, towards your side body. And then slide. The feet are on the floor through this whole sliding business. So keep the feet on the floor, not lifted in the air. And you slide. If your sticky mat is too sticky, you can come onto your carpet and try the same thing without being on the mat. Yep. And then the next time that you drop your feet to the left, slide your knees up, pick the top leg up now off the floor and bring that knee, it'll be your right knee, closer to your chest. So pretty deep twist. And then return, feet to the floor, legs go straight back down to the end of the mat, slide, feet over to the right, slide your knees up towards your chest, and then pick up the left knee, left foot, bring that knee closer to your chest. And then release back down to center. Drop your feet to the left, slide your knees up, pick up the right knee and bring it closer to the chest. And you can use your hands if you want, but try just to really connect to the deep belly muscles and use the belly muscles to drive the top knee up and closer to your chest. We'll do 1 more on each side. And if you have some other variation going on, that's okay. You're probably, something else is calling in your body. So here we go, last one. And then coming back to center. Now stretch the legs long again and take both heels to the right corner of your mat. Hands are still interlaced behind your head. Slide your left elbow back behind you so that you feel the whole left side of your body opening. And then come back to center. Slide your feet over to the left corner of your mat. Slide your right elbow back behind you. Right side opening. Good. Take one more on each side. So coming back to center, bring your feet over to the right corner of your mat and slide your left shoulder back. Head and hands are on the floor. Bring the feet to the left corner, slide your right elbow back. Good. And then coming back to center. Good. Now, just for a breath cycle here, bend your knees, bring your knees into your chest. You can hold the shins with your arms or cross your feet and take the outsides of your feet and softly rock back and forth if that feels supportive for your back. Great. And then you'll need a block or your dictionary. You're going to take the block and bring it up to the pubic bone and squeeze it between the upper inner thighs. So squeezing the block here, and again, taking your hands behind your head, squeeze the block between your legs. Okay, and on your next exhale, just bring your tiptoes to the floor. So touch the tips of your toes to the floor. You'll feel your low back arching away from the floor. And then inhale, bring the legs back up to parallel to the earth and each other. And then on your next exhale, just reach down with your tiptoes and touch the floor, and then inhale back up. So you'll feel the deep lower belly muscles working here as you come down with the tiptoes and then inhale back up. Keep squeezing the block as you do this. Keep squeezing the block. And we'll do, let's say, do 4 more here, or as your capacity. If you're moving a little faster than me, you might do 6 or 7 or 8 more. And inhale back to center. And I've got 2 more. Feel the deep belly muscles working. And then just release that. Release your feet to the floor. Take the block out for a minute. Set it aside. And now with your feet on the floor, just on your inhale, draw your pubic bone away from your navel. And on your exhale, draw your pubic bone back towards your navel or towards your sternum as you press your low back into the floor. And on your inhale, open the space up again, so stretching through the tummy muscles. And on your exhale, contracting and pulling your pubic bone back towards your navel. And just continue that little pattern. And then on your next exhale, as you draw, it's almost like you're taking a paintbrush and making an upward stroke with your belly, with your navel. As you draw back in. So inhale, stretches everything long, belly long, arching the back. And now on your next exhale, draw the pelvic floor up. So the perineum, the hammock of muscles in the pelvic floor, draw that up and in as you draw your pubic bone towards your navel. And inhale, release. And exhale, pull the pelvic floor up. And release. And now take your attention to your hip pointers. You could even put your hands on your hip pointers, the bony part, front of the hip. And as you exhale the next time, feel for drawing the hip pointers towards one another. Inhale to relax. So you could use your hands on your hip pointers to feel this. Exhale, draw the hip pointers towards one another. Inhale, draw the pubic bone away from the navel, stretching the muscles in the front of the abdomen. And on the exhale, draw hip pointers towards one another, pelvic floor up, and take that stroke of the navel up, 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 up towards the sternum. And see if you can do all 3 of those things at the same time, feeling the low belly muscles working, the upper belly muscles working, and even the sides, the obliques working as we pull the hip pointers towards one another. Do a couple more here. So we're stirring up a little energy in the belly, in the pelvis. Okay, great. And then we'll leave that now, just relax for a minute. And then stack again your lower legs over your hips, so your knees over your hips. So pressing your sacrum into the floor, not necessarily your low back. Keep that natural curve in the low back. Good. On your next inhale, exhale, you'll lift up and turn your right elbow towards your left knee and extend your right leg out 45 degrees. Inhale, come back to center. Press your elbows into the floor. Exhale, turn and lift your left shoulder towards your right knee and extend your left leg 45 degrees or so. Inhale brings you back to center. Head back to the floor. Exhale, twist to the left. And right leg goes long. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, twist to the right. Now, if you really want to work the deep belly muscles, the lower belly muscles, try to keep the knees over the hips and not up in your chest. Keeping your knees stacked over your hips as you move back and forth, side to side. And we'll do 2 more on each side. See if you can get the whole tip of your shoulder blade to come off the floor the last 2 times here. And last one, make sure you do an even number on both sides, and then come back down to the floor. Let your legs go long on the floor. Take your arms out wide in the T position and soften your gaze here again. Even if you can't see both hands, can you sense letting your gaze spread really wide so you see both your right and your left hand? And then from here, just flare your left hip up. So you kind of twist a little bit to the right as you flare your left hip up, your left hip pointer, relax, and then flare your right hip pointer up towards the sky and relax. So you're just barely touching the floor with the same side buttocks as you flare one hip up, a little twist and back bend as you do this. And one more time to each side. Great, okay, and then bring your feet back to a position of comfort, so soles of the feet on the floor. And once again, lift your lower legs, stacking your knees over your hips. Good. Now, if you have 2 blocks here, you could put them on the side of your mat, about 6 inches away from your mat and even with your hips. If you don't have 2 blocks, it's okay. You can pretend that you do, but you might take a peek and see what I'm doing here. So with my hands, my arms and the goalpost arms, I'm going to lower my knees towards my left block, but I'm not going to let my knees touch my block. And then I'm going to inhale, come back to center, lower my knees towards my right block, keep my shoulders pressing down to the floor, turning my belly opposite of my knees, inhale back to center. So if you don't have any blocks, just lower your knees to the left until you feel that sort of wiggling happening or that shaking happening. That's where you stop. And then you inhale back to center. And then take the knees in the other direction. Feel the quivering and resist and come back to center. We'll do 1 more to each side. So dropping your knees to the left, scooping belly to the right, and then inhale back to center. One more time, the other direction. And back to center. Not quite finished now. So one more time, we'll take our arms up in the air now. So reach your arms off the ground so that you no longer have the ballast of your arms on the floor. Drop your knees to the left. See if you can maintain your balance here and your core, and come back to center. Drop your knees to the right. Try not to fall over to the right, and then back to center. And let's do one more time in each side. With the arms off the floor, using the strength of our lower abdominals, obliques, pull us back to center. Good. And then rest your feet on the floor. Take your hands to the top of your thighs. And then just press into the top of your thighs as if you could draw your thighs away from your pelvis. Push your thighs away from your pelvis. Okay, great. And then crossing at your ankles with your hands behind your legs. You can rock the length of your mat a few times. And come on up and make your way to table. Make your way to table. So place your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and then just begin to take some cat-cow movements here. So on the inhale, stretch the belly towards the floor, lift the gaze, spread your tail feathers, and on the exhale, press into your hands, round your back, and round your tail towards the floor. And now we've got the strength. We worked on some strength in the core, stirred up some of the energy. So now just feel this flow of movement up more now into the upper body, into the heart, and through the arms. Just a few more cat-cows. Working through the spine. Okay, and then from here, friends, just begin to drop your hips back towards your heels. Reach your hands out in front, tenting your fingers. So your arms and your elbows are off the floor. And then use the deep belly muscles to draw your hips back to your heels and land in child's pose. Keep your arms lifted off the floor. Fingers are tented. Okay, and then on your next inhale, gather everything in the core and come back up to the tabletop position. But we're going to do that 2 more times, but now we're going to offset the hips. So I'm going to bring my hips as I come back. This time I'll bring my hips to the left so that my left sit bone is just outside my left heel. And then as I come down, I'll bring my hands over to the right. So I feel an opening through the left side body. Bring your hands back to the center, press up. And then the next time you'll drop back towards the heels. Bring your right sit bone to the outside of your right heel. Yep, and then your hands over to the left and feel an opening through the left side body. Good, walk the hands back to center, come back up to the table position and run through a couple of more cat-cows here. Feeling the movement in your spine and the movement of the energy from the lower portion of the body, the pelvis and the belly, up through the chest and the heart. Good. And then from here, take your forearms to the floor. Keep your knees where they are, so forearms to the floor. And press into your hands, press into your forearms. And with your forearms pressing into the floor, draw your elbows isometrically towards one another. Draw your elbows towards one another. You should feel this muscle, call it the outer underarm. You should feel that toning right there. Good. Can you keep that action toning and bring your chest forward so that you're kind of looking right down between your hands? And then back up. Keep that action, but now lift your elbows slightly off the floor. Keep drawing them isometrically towards one another and draw your chest forward so your chest is over your thumb tips. So kind of like a modification of chaturanga. And then set your hips back, set your elbows down on the floor, come all the way down to the child's pose. Resting here for just a breath. And then come back up, tabletop with the forearms down. Find that strong action again, so pressing into your forearms into the floor and drawing your elbows towards one another isometrically. Feeling the tone of the upper outer arm. Now lift your elbows slightly. Lift your elbows slightly. Keep drawing the elbows towards one another. Bring your chest forward over your thumb tips. Maybe some of you will turn your toes under and come into more of a chaturanga shape. Wherever you are, drop your knees, drop your hips back, come back into the child's pose. When you come back to the resting postures like child's pose, see if you can allow your gaze to soften and open. And then we'll come back one more time to table with the forearms down, pressing into your forearms. Draw your elbows towards one another. Feel the tone of your upper outer arm. Turn your toes under and just lift your knees off the floor. Lift your knees off the floor. So, meeting the challenge with a soft gaze. And bringing your knees back down to the floor. Now, can you slide your hands a little forward? Keep that same action. So drawing the elbows towards one another. Turn your toes under, press up, downward facing dog. So draw the tops of the thighs back, pressing into the hands and the forearms moving towards one another, the elbows energetically moving towards one another. Open up through your back. So spread through the top of the back. And then inhale, walk your feet up towards your hands. Pressing into your feet, hands to your hips. You can hinge up at the waist. And just march on your mat a few paces while I rearrange my mat here so you can see me. Great. And grab a block. So you can do this, these standing postures. You could do, I have to move my screen a little bit. Okay. You can do on your mat or not. You do on beside your mat. We'll take a block now between the upper inner thighs. Okay. And we're just going to come into Utkatasana, the fierce pose. So bend your knees and bring your arms out. We'll start with our arms out to the side. So bending your knees, take the tops of your hips back. Okay. And if you find you have a lot of excessive arch in your back, bring your hands forward like you're going in for a big hug. All right, and that'll allow you to keep a little more length in the back. Good, and then we're just gonna inhale, come up onto our tippy toes, and then exhale to come back down to chair pose. We'll do that a few times. Inhale, keep squeezing the block as you press up on your toes, and then exhale, drop back down, take the tops of your hips back, and come back into chair pose. Good. A few times you might even try to reach up and take your opposite hand to opposite shoulder behind you as you squeeze the block, and then come back down. Good. And then we'll stop here, we'll rest here in sort of an open. So instead of the arms traditionally are up or out, bring your arms out to the side and open your gaze. Open your gaze so you can see both hands in your peripheral vision. Good, now squeezing the block, lift your right foot. And set it back down. Squeeze the block, lift your left foot. And set that back down. Good, now let the arms relax. Come up onto your tippy toes. Squeezing the block, can you lift your right foot? And if you fall out, just set it down. Squeeze the block, on your tippy toes, lift your left foot. And release. And take the block out now, set it to the side. Come into downward facing dog. Bring the elbows towards one another energetically. Spread through the upper back and take the top of the thighs back. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward. Coming into a fold, deep fold, bend your knees. Let your head go. And then next inhale, drop your hips. Come back into the Utkatasana, a little more traditional now with the arms up. If you tend to get excessive arch in the back, can you have the tailbone reaching down behind you? Good, now put your weight into your right foot and step your left foot back into a lunge. Okay, from here, interlace your hands behind your head. Twist to the right, to the bent leg side. Twist to the right. And then from here, draw your right elbow down towards your right hip. So inviting a side bend. Inhale, come back up. And now exhale or inhale your left elbow towards your left hip. Side bending open to the right. Or the right side is opening rather. Come back to center with your hands behind your head or on your hips. Slowly lower your back knee to the floor. Good. And then inhale, reach your arms up, and exhale, twist to the right side, to the bent leg side. You might take your left hand or your right hand on your sacrum and encourage the length in your spine here. You can have your left hand at the outside of your right leg, or you could open up your arms, or you could take your left forearm to the outside of your right leg and reach the right arm long, imagining that your gaze could take in both your right foot and your right hand. Inhale, come back to center. And now with your right hand on your thigh or your hands on your hips, press the back toes and come back up into the lunge. Good. And then inhale the hands up. Exhale down around your front foot. Step your right foot back to the left in downward dog and just pedal through the knees, or I like to keep my legs straight and sort of lift one hip up here and then settle into the very open, lengthening shape of downward facing dog. Great. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward. Inhale, forward fold, deep bend in the knees so you can let your upper body drape over your legs. Good, good, good. And then on the next inhale, we'll come back into the fierce pose. Now we're going to take the other side. So weight goes into the left leg as you drive the right hip back and come into the lunge on the other side. So get strong and steady through the legs first. Imagine you're still squeezing a block here. Imagine you're still doing all those core exercises on the floor, squeezing in, and then interlace your hands, opposite grip behind your head. And rotate, twist towards the left. So we start just with the twist towards the bent knee side. Then we'll introduce the side bend. So now take the left elbow and reach it back towards the left hip. Pretty bouncy. So how are you meeting the challenge? Can you stay open and soft? Back to center, and then take the right elbow towards the left knee. So we're twisting with the side bend. Good. And inhale back to center. And then with the hands behind the head or on the hips, softly lower the right knee down to the floor. You can stay up on your back toes or turn the top of the foot down for whichever gives you a better balance. Inhale to reach your arms up high, and exhale, twist to the bent leg side. So right hand can come to the outside of your left knee. You could have the left arm reaching back open, or keep it at your hip. And then let's see if everyone can feel, if we reach that left arm up, can you sense your gaze taking in both your left foot and your left hand? So maybe you can't see both your hand and your foot, but can you imagine a gaze so soft that you can relax the hyper focus and just take in everything as everything belongs? Return back to center on the inhale with your hands helping you on your hips, or maybe at heart center, curl the back toes, press back up into the lunge. Good. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, coming down, framing the front foot, step forward into a forward fold. Slide your hands up the shins, reach your crown long, back of the neck long. halfway lift, and exhale, fold once more. Okay. Take your hands to your hips and spike the heels down, pressing into your feet, hinge up at the waist. And now we'll come onto the mat. We'll use the, if you face the long edge of your mat here, we're going to move into a couple more standing postures. And you can take the mat away if you want to, but we'll come into a pretty wide stance. So you can measure by extending your arms out, wrists land over ankles. And you want to have a block here. We're going to be moving from Trikonasana into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So I'm going to have my block up here by my right foot. So turn your right foot forward and the back heel out, back toes in slightly. And just begin with your hands on your hips. Yep. Then we'll take the arms out long. And we're just going to begin by sort of reaching down the front leg and sliding back up. So feel this reaching down the front leg, sliding down the front leg, and engaging the obliques on the opposite side, slide back up. So sliding down and sliding back up. Good, so feel the back heel, the outside of the back heel really reaching for the floor, really reaching for the floor. And then this time, stay, as you slide your right hand down, stay. So you got your lower hand pressing into your shin, or maybe your thigh. You could be up on the thigh, or a block to the outside of the front leg, outside of the front leg. Feel length in both side bodies. And when you feel the energy moving from your feet, from the lower part of your body up, then reach the top arm up, stacking top shoulder over bottom shoulder. Wait till you feel the energy moving, right, to go there. Good, so Trikonasana. Great, and your gaze again, you could look down at the front foot if that feels better for your neck. You could look forward, but see if you can soften and open the gaze. We're going to move from Trikonasana to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So I have my hand on a block. If you don't have a block, you could set yourself up against a wall, or you could use a chair. But as I bend through my front knee, I'll take my block with me, set it forward and outside of my front foot, and then press into my standing leg and lift my top leg. You could have your back against a wall. You could have your front hand on a chair or the couch. So in half moon, we can think about that the moon is sometimes between full light and full darkness. The moon has both light and darkness. Can we embrace all that is? Bend the front leg and slowly step back, bring the block with you. Turning both feet now to be parallel with the short edge of your mat. So you're facing the long edge of your mat, and just take a forward fold. So the hands could be on the floor. You could have your head resting on a block if that felt good for you. Just open through the back, the hamstrings, and the inside inner edge of the leg. And then we will, hands on hips, hinge up, take the other side. So turning the left foot forward and the back foot, the right foot, heel out slightly, toes in. And we'll take that same little opening where we're just sliding the hand down the front leg and feeling the obliques working, the side waist working as we come up. And we're just working our way into the posture, into the shape, the triangle shape. Keep pressing into the back heel, really connecting with your feet, and draw the energy from the legs up, 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 up. Feel the energy. Now you could bring the front hand to the shin or the thigh or to a block, like the block on the outside of my front leg. Good. The right hand can stay on the hip. And when you feel the energy move up through your body, reach the top arm up, stacking the top shoulder on the bottom shoulder. Can you tone the upper outer underarm as we did when we were on the floor? Can you gaze and take in both your front foot and your top hand? Widen your gaze. How are you meeting the challenges right now that are coming up for you? All different for everyone. Then we'll bend through the front leg, take the block forward, coming weight into the front leg. You might take a couple of steps. Block is to the outside and forward of the front leg, lifting the back leg in Ardha Chandrasana on this side. Now I also have a chair right in front of me, so I will just show you that I could also just use the chair for my Ardha Chandrasana. Use the back of a couch. And once you feel the strength in the legs, can you reach the top arm up? Bending the front knee, stepping back, and turning both feet so that your feet are parallel to the short edge of your mat. Nice wide stance. We'll take another forward fold. Bring the hands out in front. Draw the tops of the thighs back. And then we'll take a little twisting action, or we'll walk the hands to one side. Doesn't matter which side, and just twist and open or side bend a little bit to that side. Feeling opening through the side that you've moved away from. And then back in the other direction. And then bring your hands back to center and walk your hands underneath, right underneath your sternum, heel toe, your feet together, hands to hips, spike the heels down, hinging up at the waist. Good, so we'll come into one more standing posture. And I'm gonna just move my mat away. So we'll come into Garudasana Eagle. And here, so we're gonna come back to the midline, pull back the focus to the midline. So you can have a block. A block is really handy for this posture. And so as I begin, I'll take the weight into my right leg, and I'm going to bend my knees and bring my left leg over across, and I'm just going to rest my foot on the block. I rest my foot on the block. I want to line my knees up to the midline. And now, arms out wide. Okay, so I have my left leg on top. So left arm comes underneath. Bring the backs of the hands together or the palms together. Bringing the elbows to midline. Seeing if I can line up elbows and knees in this posture that is very much about bringing our energy back to midline. Squeeze the legs together. Squeeze the legs. And then release the arms. Release the legs. You might take some circles with the hips or marching in place. And then we'll take the other side. So if you do have a block, so this is something that I got from one of my classes last week. And this posture for me has always been rather easy. Well, it's a posture I like, but I've been trying it with the block, and I really encourage you to try the block, even if the posture isn't that challenging for you on a regular basis. So we bend the knees and bring the right leg on top now, and just take the ball of your right foot onto the block. Squeeze the legs together. And if you feel excessiveness in the low back, excessive arch, try that hug again. Try bringing the hands out in front, right? And then it's right arm under left, back so the hands come together, or wrap it all up and bring palms together, squeezing everything towards midline. So now the invitation is that even as you have this hyper focus towards midline, squeezing everything towards midline, can you soften and widen your gaze? Can you soften and widen your gaze? Release the arms. Release the crossing your legs. Feet wide. Take some hip circles. Very nice. And then come back to the top of your mat. Coming into Tadasana. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, fold through center. Inhale, halfway lift, reaching the crown long, back of the neck is long. Exhale, fold, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. Now slightly bend your elbows towards the floor, just like we did when we were on our knees, and isometrically draw your elbows towards one another. Feel the heat and the fire. And then slowly lower your knees to the floor. Hips back. Use the tummy muscles to bring the hips back to child's pose. And let all that heat and that energy flow through your body. Like the wide gaze, let the heat widen and soften, actually. And bring your hands beside your head. Press into your hands. Set your hips over to one side. Bring your legs out in front in the Dandasana shape, the staff. Pressing into your hands here. Lift your hips off the floor. Lift and shift. Set them back down. Now you might have to sit up on the edge of a blanket or a block here. And then inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, hinge at the waist. Wherever your hands land, that's your shape. That's your variation of this shape. And then you can let your head go, tuck your chin in. Bring the gaze back inward. Are there still some places that are grasping or gripping? Can you let the inhale soften And the exhale, help you let go of the gripping or grasping. And then slowly walk your hands back towards your hips. We'll slide back onto our back now, onto the mat, on our back. And now just let the arms be in goalpost arms and come back to the soft rocking of your knees back and forth. Can you see both hands in your peripheral vision, your soft gaze? Mm-hmm. And then we'll bring our feet together, press into your feet, shift your hips over to the right, knees to the left, and come into a twist. And now your arms, you could take your arms out to a T, you could open up a little bit more, have your left hand on top of your right leg, top leg bent, or you could straighten the top leg if you'd like, but feel the belly scooping back to the right as you open a little deeper in this twist. See if we can unknot some of the knots, Inhale, top knee comes back up, come back to center. Might feel nice here to take a few of those little pelvic tilts just to neutralize in your pelvis, low back, and then press into your feet, shift your hips to the left, knees to the right, and twist in the opposite direction. And you could take your gaze. Traditionally, we take the gaze to the opposite hand. You can do that, or you could keep your gaze looking sort of upward and outward. So soften the gaze as if you could see both your right and your left hand. And then inhale, come back to center, shift yourself back to squarely resting on your sacrum. Take a few pelvic tilts here. And then you could invite some other small movement as we begin to settle to Shavasana. So you might like a figure four with the ankle on the opposite knee, or you might like a happy baby. Or you might be ready to take your legs long, wide, letting the feet fall out to the sides. And then I would encourage you to have your arms away from your body, palms up. You could press the back of your head into the floor and tuck shoulder blades under. And then see if your gaze can include both hands, both feet. So you have a wide, soft, open gaze. Inviting everything in to have tea. Starting here, what do you want to remember? how sunlight creeps along a shining floor, what scent of old wood hovers, what softened sound from outside fills the air. Will you ever bring a better gift to the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Will you ever bring a better gift to the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you are right now? Are you waiting for the time to show you some better thoughts? Are you waiting for the time to show you some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry into evening all that you want from the day. This interval you spent reading, listening, keep it for life. Keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now? Starting here, right in this room, when you turn around. You can always stay as long as you want in your Shavasana, or you can begin to invite some small movements and come on back. I'll stop the recording now and we can chat if you'd like to stay. Thank you all for being here today.